Here's the thing, writing a script about AI generated art while never actually using AI generated art other than for a stupid joke video is admittedly pretty hypocritical. I mean, how can you hate something or be threatened by it if you've never actually used it? Well, perhaps it's better to instead say I hate what AI generated art has done to the art industry instead of AI generated art itself. In my personal opinion, AI generated art is art. There's no question about that in my opinion. To me, it's no different than when photography was first introduced or digital art came to be mainstream. I mean, it has its uses, people can use it for inspiration and reference, but it also feels like the make art button has become real. And to me, and I assume many artists, that's pretty damn threatening. So what is AI generated art exactly? Well, AI generated art refers to art generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence. Programs like Midjourney or Dream, Night Cafe, and Dall.e 2 are art generators that create art based on the prompts that have been given. In short, it is artwork, visual, audio, or otherwise, generated by a machine learning process. That is, a machine has learned some information and used it to generate something new. Though there's technically nothing new about it, since it is basically splicing pre-existing art together into a so-called new generated image. In other words, AI generated art can't be generated without using art that already exists. It can't create anything from the ground up. But then it can be argued that an artist has to be inspired by something before they can create. So an artist can't really create something from scratch either, if you look at it that way. AI can't be inspired because inspiration requires mental stimulation. AI can't be enthusiastic about someone or something. At least not yet, not to my knowledge anyway. But then I discovered this thing. Dear Lord, this is an actual artificial artist. Yeah, that's not scary at all. Yeah, that looks so much like my sleep paralysis demon.
Hello, I am Ada, the world's first ultra-realistic AI robot artist.
Skynet is real. Confirmation right here. AI art itself can be used and seen as a form of deception, but photography was seen that way too when it was new. But then artists embraced photography and use it as a vital tool for their creations. And digital art in general still has the stigma that because it's digital, it's not real art. Many artists recoil from technology because many see it as a debasement of human artistry. It threatens a person's artistic control and therefore threatens their authority over what can and can't be created. AI-generated art like photography was and is seen as taking work away from artists, devaluing their work. After all, who would want to buy art when anyone can just generate it themselves by pushing an almost literal make art button? But what peeves me off is when people take AI generated art and then pass it off as their own original work and shove it under the noses of artists, saying things like, "Look what I did in seconds that would have taken you hours," or put an AI generated piece of art into an art contest and win a blue ribbon, in spite of making it clear to the judges and the other competitors that it was AI generated art. It still somehow feels like a deception and makes artists feel like they were robbed. I'd argue that using AI to create a piece is really no different from using Photoshop or other digital image manipulation tool. Human creativity is still required to come up with the right prompts to generate the desired results. I think the problem stems from this attitude that if art can be generated by anyone, that means anyone can be an artist. And artists are threatened by that. And they really shouldn't be. And that's actually what I hate. Anyone can be creative. Everyone is creative. But some artists seem to want to gatekeep creativity like it's their own little exclusive club, which is bloody ridiculous. The whole AI subject reminds me of an episode of Star Trek Next Generation when Data, an android, paints and is inspired.
It is an attempt at pure creativity.
What we're investigating is, can Data be creative?
And this is my attempt, with guidance from Geordi.
Keep notes. This project may turn out to be of interest to scholars in the future.
Really?
Well, of course, think about it. A blind man teaching an android how to paint. That's got to be worth a couple of pages in somebody's book.
There's a really tasteless joke in there which I'm going to try my best to avoid. I know these are fictional examples, but they are fictional AI that have grown to be inspired on their own. I doubt anything like this will happen in real life, of course, but if we as the human race write AI to be able to become inspired and create, then why are we so threatened by AI generated art? If an AI somehow did gain sentience to the point it could create and be inspired on its own, why are we so threatened by that? Why do we hate AI generated art so much? Because with inspiration comes independence. And with independence, it can't be controlled. AI generated art is, to me, basically automatic collage. Artificial intelligence can't create anything from scratch on its own, at least not yet. AI mimics and displays human cognitive skills that are associated with the human mind. It has the ability to learn and to problem solve, and the problems start when AI art is passed off as, for lack of a better phrase, real art. Art is only considered real when a sentient being creates it. And as of right now, AI has no sentience that we know of. AI can generate art from art that already exists, as I've said before. So to many artists it is very threatening, as there's no sure way to prevent your own art from being used as an AI image. I mean, just look at what DeviantArt did recently, where it announced that all art on the website may now be used by AI by default, and the only way to prevent this is to manually opt out, which resulted in me leaving DeviantArt altogether. So when art is generated by an AI, who actually owns the art? Well, according to American law, no one owns it. Which is why it's wrong to sell AI art, because you don't actually own it. Therefore, you should not profit from it. The US Copyright Office has already refused to grant a copyright registration for AI-generated art because the current copyright law requires human authorship for copyright protection. That means under the current rules, AI-generated art has no owner. Is AI-generated art a threat to artists because they feel like it will replace them? Well, yeah, but then again, artists felt that way about photography. And digital art as well. With AI-generated art being so easily accessible, it's become even harder for artists like myself to garner attention and make a living. Mass production, NFTs, photography, digital art, etc. has had an effect on the creative industry and to the individuals like myself who create for a living. The effects may be good or bad depending on your perspective and experience. The truth is that using AI art generators like OpenAL's or Dall.e or Dream isn't a replacement for artists. Anne Ployne of the Oxford Internet Institute claims that AI art generators won't replace human artists. It's when people start thinking AI art is a quick substitute to avoid hiring artists that results in living in a constant fear of paranoia, worrying that people will look at the art and question if we made it or if an AI did. And then imposter syndrome rears its ugly head. Did we really create this? Or did the computer make it? It leaves a really bitter taste in my mouth. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative.